I went into the juice press near my apartment, and the guy who works there has got to be the greatest employee of a place like that I've ever encountered. Is just so in the best mood. He is so helpful. I go in yesterday and he seems like down, and he just seems like he's in a bad mood. I'm like, what's up, man? Like, how you doing? And he's like, oh man, he's like, really, I'm just not having a good day. I meet up with Hillary on the street, and she was like, should we get him a present? And I was like, oh, that's really nice. And we decided, we're like, oh, let's get him an Amazon gift card. She splits it with me too. We give the guy, and we're like, hey dude, like, we know you're having a bad day, so we want to give you a little gift. And he was like, oh man. And then he just gave me the biggest hug. Only.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Oops, the podcast. Julio and Francis here.
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
Buddy boy.
What's up, dog?
I like that sweater you got there, that green sweater.
Thank you. Very
Yeah.
comfortable. How you doing?
I'm well. I am I'm very happy to be home this weekend. Because after this weekend it's gonna be really intense for a while.
Oh, like just being on the road constantly and
Yeah.
stuff? Yeah.
Boston, big weekend in Boston, not this weekend, but as of this episode, I will be performing tonight.
Tomorrow, Thursday?
Yep.
Cool,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Boston, Laugh Boston. If you don't have tickets, come out. I hope to see you guys.
Oh, yeah.
FrancisEllis.com. All right. Quick plug out of the way.
Hell yeah, dude.
Then I'm going to Scotland with my dad.
Oh, fun. The golf.
Father-son golf.
Good.
Little G.
It's been a while since you guys have done it,
We haven't
right?
done it in many years. I'm excited. Can't wait to be with my old man.
That's really fun, man.
You know?
What course are you guys going to play?
Oh, we're going to play, I don't know, 7 courses.
Oh, wow. So how long is the trip?
Probably just 4 or 5 days.
Nice.
But we're gonna go. We can't play the old course in St. Andrews because they're prepping it for the Open.
For the Open. Have you played it before?
Played it twice.
What a great course.
Have you played it?
No, I've just seen the British Open.
It's the coolest thing.
It's sick, dude.
It is an experience where even if you're not a golfer, you arrive in the town of St. Andrews, which is a really cool town. It's a college town, with like one of the oldest universities in the world.
Nice.
And the whole town is built around this golf course, which is the oldest golf course. I think it's one of the oldest golf courses in the world.
Cool.
And you arrive, and all of a sudden you walk down a street or whatever, and all of a sudden you're standing overlooking the 18th green, and you feel as familiar with that site if you are somewhat of a golf fan as I was the first time I saw the Eiffel Tower.
Mm-hmm.
Like instantly there's this wave of familiarity because I've seen so many British Opens played
Right.
at St. Andrews, and all of a sudden you're standing on the green basically.
Yeah, I've always felt like seeing something on TV versus just seeing it is never really a spoiler because of how different it is.
Yeah.
And it's also fun to compare it. Whereas like experiential things are the things that can be spoilers, in my opinion. Like cultural things that you didn't know about. Not that matters. But like Mount Rushmore.
Give me an example?
Yeah, like if you go to, for example, if you go somewhere, and Iraq is an easy one, like every single person wanting to be on in my video, how nice everybody was, stuff like that. If I had known more about that going in, it would have ruined the trip a little bit.
Oh.
Even though,
Gotcha.
it would have definitely softened some of the nerves, which would have been nice. But that kind of thing. But like, for example, Mount Rushmore, you know what I mean? That's an example of something where I saw that in person, and I thought I was really impressed by it in person.
I would love to see Mount Rushmore. I've never seen it.
Dude, South Dakota's sick.
Really?
So cool. Yeah. There's so much good shit there. It's a beautiful state.
Cool.
Dude, speaking of which, one of your buddies, Francis, linked me up with one of his buddies who's like a big NFT guy. And he actually gave me a recommendation, which is fun, that you might like this one. It's membership to like a Web3 golf course. So like somehow buying the NFT like gives you access to like this real golf. And apparently there's like a bunch of celebrities involved, and every high profile NFT project has celebrities involved. Anyway, your buddy was like, dude, it'll either like be amazing or it'll completely flop like every other NFT. I'm like, completely fine. Thanks for the disclaimer, but I'll take you some time. Unclear where there are.
For the record, I linked Julio up with this guy that I'm friends with, who his whole living, I think, is made on NFTs. And he lives in Puerto Rico, and he's one of those people who have sought, tax shelter.
Bless his heart.
And is just trading crypto and NFTs and stuff down there. So he knows what he's as far as you can. He knows what he's doing, and I linked him up with Julio because I said to him, "Hey man, is the bottom about to fall out of the whole NFT market? I'm worried about my friend. Maybe the two of you could talk." My thought, I didn't say that to him, but I was like, I don't want you to get caught holding all these things when they go to zero.
Don't worry. Like I
know you know what you do, but
I understand the concern, but I don't think you need to be concerned about me.
Absolutely. Even so, if I ever know somebody in the world that is like an expert on something,
please,
and then someone I know is doing that, but isn't an expert, I like to connect people. And so I kind of thought he would advise you like, hey, maybe this is a good time to sell, or, maybe be careful or whatever. But instead, he just started recommending more NFTs for you to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I don't know what would have made you think that that's how that conversation was going to go.
So,
I'm just curious. I don't know why
it wasn't.
Francis has just decided he's like, the
again,
NFTs.
It's not you. It's that I had a couple other friends who do some NFT stuff, and they were like, NFTs are about to go to zero. Mm-hmm. And that's what I originally texted you. I was like, yo, dude, people I know are saying this is a really bad thing.
Well, the day that when we had this conversation, it was a tough day for certain NFT holders.
Yeah. And the chickens had come home to roost, or it certainly felt like they were about to.
It's a bad day.
Yeah.
Like when the traditional market is having a bad day, the untraditional market is having a really bad day.
Yeah.
That's sort of
spot on.
That's sort of the unfortunate reality of the situation.
So I texted that to you, and you were like, oh, okay, crap. Like, what are they saying? And when you said that to me, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go straight to the source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate you doing that.
And I was like, I reached out to that guy, and I was like, yo, dude, what do you think about NFTs? Like, a buddy of mine is in it. And he was like, he sent me a couple thoughts, and then I was like, you know what? I just want to connect them personally.
I appreciate it. Dude,
so that was
funny guy.
That was the sort of chain of thought.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, can you tell my friend to be careful? It wasn't like
right.
I wasn't being like condescending. I trust you, and
dude, listen, I know what I'm doing in the sense of I know that it's a very risky thing that I'm doing. I don't think anybody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So far it's been all right, and I hope to keep catching W's.
Got it. Will you tell us if big things happen in either direction?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that I've gotten smoked on Amazon, which I remember I was bragging about how, and of course, now when you make a bunch of money on something, the worst thing you can do is put it all in something else, which I would never do that. So fortunately, a lot of money, I had to pay my taxes, and then I took a bunch of tax deductions from contributions to very conservative things, which is really nice. And thank God the timing worked out nicely. But I took a nice little piece of some of my big moves and bought a bunch of Amazon before they had their shitty announcement. But dude, whatever. I stand by that play.
If there was ever a safe stock to bet on, I would have thought Amazon was right. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, if you this is just stupid for me to even be saying. This is not financial advice. This is what I think, and I might be right or wrong. But, and you've said this before too, you can't get too hung up on when you're doing things, because if you're doing things that you deem to be the right thing over a period of time, you will reap the benefits of that. Even if you happen to make a bad move during a time before shit goes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as you're regularly doing things, you're going to hopefully make some cash. So yeah, I will let you know if I get completely smoked on NFTs. I have not yet, knock on wood. But I did buy something that was a little expensive, and time will tell. I feel pretty confident still. But if it were to go completely to zero, it wouldn't be catastrophic either. So that's where we're at.
I say that to myself all the time, that some of the investments that I've made, if it were to go to zero, I wouldn't be broken over it.
It's important to be and to try to get yourself to that place,
Yes,
because
but-
it's stressful to be in a place where if it did go to zero, it would crush you.
But I don't know. I say it, and I don't know if it's
How
true.
you would actually feel, right?
Because I've never had anything go to zero,
Yeah, right.
and I don't know what that would do to my psyche.
Right. So okay, so this is my thought. If you bought something that was expensive and it's doing really bad, if that feels terrible, that is probably similar to what you'll feel like if it goes to zero, but just that'll be worse. If you don't care, then you're probably in a good place.
Okay.
You know, like
Yeah.
if something you bought goes down 60% like that, and you're like, whatever, you're probably in a good comfort zone.
Fair enough. Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Might be wrong.
Okay.
Well, dude, I have a thing I want to bring up here.
Good.
I have this exercise that I do that I recommend to everybody. A good way to sort of do spring cleaning of your iCloud is also a nice way to connect with your memories. So this is what I like to do. I will go through my camera roll periodically, and I'll go through a certain period of time and delete duplicates or things that I don't care about. And in doing that, you see all your shit, which
That's
is
a great thought.
it's a fun exercise, and you also get to reconnect with a lot of your old memories that you might have forgotten about. So I'll do it. I'll go for like 10-day chunks every day.
Wow.
And I kind of record where I'm at with it so that I don't get redundant. This way I keep space so I don't have to keep upgrading my fucking iCloud every time there's a new iPhone with bigger files, whatever. You know?
Yeah.
But dude, sometimes I'm sadistic. Like I ask myself, my 2015 self, I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Because so first of all, like, okay, I'll screenshot like trauma inducing conversations where I got into like some crazy fight with a friend, or I got dropped by an agent, or like something fucked up happened, and I'll screenshot it. I don't know why I would do that. I want to like remember it or something, but then I'll like go back and like relive the shame of the moment, or like a time where I overstepped and then it led to something bad happening, or just like a really uncomfortable fight.
That's crazy. That is really masochistic.
It's crazy.
Unless, are you just not remembering that maybe you took screenshots of those moments and then sent them to someone to look at?
That's a good point. I'm sure sometimes that was the case, but a lot of the time it'll just be like my ex-girlfriend like being manipulative, which there is something interesting to it, because I'll be looking at myself texting, cringing, being like, dude, Jesus. But then like I'll get to another text that was later where it's like, oh, I see where it's interesting to see the progression. It's almost like they do the like verbal history of like a sporting event through quotes and stuff.
Oh, yes.
Or something,
Yes.
whatever it's called,
Okay.
written
Yep.
history, whatever. So it's almost like that. You're like putting the pieces together of your life. That's not necessarily the right example. But dude, also just like watching the way you used to be sometimes can be like, I'm looking at myself during certain periods of time being like, dude, do less. Jesus Christ. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like just really judging myself. And then I'll just like feel shitty about myself for the rest of the day based on my 2018 self or whatever, whenever it was. I'm
You
just
should
like,
feel better that you're not that guy anymore.
and then I start having this dialogue. I'm like, well, dude, maybe, it's easy to see that out of context and like think that maybe you weren't that bad. But maybe I also was just like, oh, God.
Does it ever come with the thought that, oh, when you did that thing, there must have been so many people talking shit about
Yes,
you
dude, yes.
because of that thing?
Definitely.
Or man, I was so oblivious to how much people must have thought I was a fucking clown.
Totally. Dude, totally. I'm like, what a fucking ham.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Also, dude, I had the stupidest looking hair. I had the longest. It was just terrible. I needed
I liked
a
your
haircut.
long hair.
And dude, I screenshotted this a couple of times too. I saw a reply from somebody who I know who was like, you're becoming that guy. Cut your hair. Which then also just makes me feel bad. Dude, it's just like, I'm like reliving these hurtful moments. I'm like, dude, why did you feel the need? Because I'm almost like, I'll do this in lieu of a diary entry. But then it's like, this is shitty. Like maybe I'm never going to read my diary. I don't know, dude.
Ugh. All right. Well, first of all, I would say that I think that for most people, writing in a diary is not so much about, revisiting your life and looking back, but more about the process of journaling and organizing your thoughts and having some reflection of your day at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know for sure. I don't know how many people go back and read their own diary.
Right.
So maybe if you reframe it that way, you can try to take a more positive thought about why you're doing this.
So, dude, I started a journal when I was in LA once because I had nothing happening in my life, and it was like I need to like be positive. I need to like be positive. So I'm gonna make a list of like something positive that happened every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pulled that out of my ass, by the way. Not a therapist suggestion. Which now I'm reflecting on. I'm like, God, good for you, dude. And it turned into just having a journal. And I realized I was like, oh, well, this is cool because there's been times in my life where I have a memory, but I don't have a memory of what it felt like to be experiencing that memory.
Yeah.
So I think the only time I'll ever reference my diary, if I ever do, is when I'm like, I wonder what that was like. And then I'll be able to just go back to the specific day. But I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't really do it as much anymore.
I have had the very narcissistic thought that I should keep a diary so that by the time the world is demanding the memoir, I've already got most of it written.
I've thought of that too.
Someday I'm going to need a memoir, and I'm going to want a more boots on the ground view of what happened on a certain day instead of trying to cull that memory from the distant past.
Yeah, man, because after like a decade, things that happened before a decade ago, like I don't remember them that well,
nor do I.
which sucks. I don't want to not remember stuff.
Right.
I
And your
wanna remember
memories
shit.
get distorted as well.
Totally.
So that's an interesting thought. Dude, really quick, I'm doing something now that I don't know that I've always done, which is not going well. I've started breathing from my mouth more.
Mouth breather.
Yeah. And it bothers Sierra.
Is it because of allergies?
Yeah, I'm a little stuffed up.
Mm-hmm.
But also I think I kind of just do it naturally. I don't know. You tell me this. You're telling me, do you breathe more easily from your nose or your mouth?
I don't know.
It's mouth 100% of the time for me.
I tend to be a little congested too, so probably mouth.
Think about it, right? Your mouth is huge. Think about it's like trying to breathe through a friggin' wind tunnel versus trying to breathe through two little whistles or something.
Right.
I mean, your nostrils are so much smaller than your mouth.
It's like vacuuming the floor with the little piece versus the big piece.
That's better. Yes, that's way better. Yeah, the better attachment. So why do we breathe from our nose? Well, I don't know the answer to that, but the point is, if I were left to my own preferences, I think I would breathe from my mouth 100% of the time. When I'm exercising and I need oxygen more than usual, I'm breathing out of my mouth.
right.
Big heavy breaths.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've gone for you're jogging, you're breathing out of your mouth, right?
You've gotten into the point where you are thinking about this too much. So that's the issue.
Well,
Like the fact that you're thinking about it, you like kind of naturally just do whatever you need to, unless you're like in yoga and they're like, right, in through your nose.
I know.
You know?
I was cuddling with Sierra. It was really nice on the couch. We were watching TV, and after a while, she just turned up to me and said, "Do you need to breathe out of your mouth or something like?" I didn't even realize I was doing it, and then she started impersonating me. She was like, "You sound like this."
You sound like Kojai, dude. Too many mouth breathers in this apartment.
Why? What is mouth breather? Why do we have this as an insult? What does it mean? And where did it come from? And why does everyone hate them so much?
It means you're an idiot for some reason.
Yeah, it
I don't know
does,
why.
right? It means you're a sort of
Like a
lughead
numbskull.
or like almost like a Cro-Magnon man, Neanderthal.
Like, remember the guy in Hey Arnold who always gets punched by Helga? That guy.
Yeah. Wait, stupid? But why?
But what?
To me, breathing from my mouth is smarter. I'm getting better oxygen. I don't get it. I don't know why we shame people that breathe from their mouths to the extent that we do. It just, I don't know. If anything, you should make fun of people for being nose breathers. Who do you think you are? Some sort of elitist asshole? People who are nose breathers are, they're always looking down their nose, sniffing at you.
It is. And Hillary says too, like, I do this really annoying thing where I smell something I don't like. I start going, which is condescending. It's like yesterday she was eating the salmon bowl, dude. And it's delicious, right? But not when she's been at her desk. Like she'll be in like a wormhole, like working really hard, really focused, and that like salmon has just been sitting there for like 3.5 hours.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, like, and she's like, "Are you serious right now?" What's up, Ryan?
Okay, nose breathing is more beneficial than mouth breathing. Breathing through your nose can help filter out dust and allergens, boost your oxygen uptake, and humidify the air you breathe in. Mouth breathing, on the other hand, can dry out your mouth. This may increase your risk of bad breath or gum inflammation.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like something that was written by a nose breather.
But it is interesting. By breathing through your mouth, you're actually perpetuating the problem. Like you're making yourself more congested.
Okay,
like,
I got a new scientific study. Breathing from your mouth allows way more oxygen, so you have to take fewer breaths. And breathing out of your nose actually makes you more lightheaded and dizzy. And signed, Dr. Nosencrantz.
Well, dude, it sounds like too much of a good thing. It might not be a good thing, dude. Taking that oxygen and oxygen is a powerful
I think
element.
The more oxygen, the better. That's typically what I've experienced in my life. You can't have too much oxygen. Can you?
I think you probably
can. You have too much oxygen?
I think you can, dude. That's why there's like oxygen bars. You get all high and shit off oxygen.
Yeah, but those are good for you.
I don't know.
I don't know. All right. Good.
Oxygen.
Can you have too much oxygen?
I think you can. It kills.
I don't know. That's
what
not
did you
I was
look
looking
up? What'd you look up?
I thought you guys were changing the subject. I wanted to mention something.
Yeah, mention it.
Go for it.
All right, I have something for you guys.
Oh, please.
Just a little something,
This
just
is
in
fun.
case you need a little booster.
Okay.
What are you doing here?
What's happening here?
Just in case.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Just in case.
Oh my god. Dude.
Little
I need
chocolate
this.
latte.
Yum.
A little pistachio way.
Pistachio?
Ryan is trying to
And
get
that's not
the,
just a snack.
Thank
add
you,
a
bro.
little bit of lead to the pencil. Thank you so much, Senior.
So I don't know if you guys remember this. We were talking about things that make your sexual performance better. Dark chocolate and pistachios are both of them.
Mhm.
So Ryan, thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Watch out.
Hill
I'm gonna
Dog's in
have
trouble tonight.
Yeah, big trouble.
Dude, Hillary does this two really funny things. Have I talked about the arm scratch thing? Dude, she does these two things in her sleep that are insane. One of them, she sticks her arm straight up, and then she very gracefully scratches her arm, strokes it from top to bottom. And I look over, I'm like,
Is she asleep?
yes,
You're kidding.
asleep, scratching her
That
arm.
sounds like a cat move.
Dude, the other thing that she'll do, and she might be like mostly asleep when she does this, she'll take a sip of a water bottle while she's completely horizontal. So she is lying on her back.
That's waterboarding.
Dude, she does it like that. Yeah, she goes, and I look over the other night, I'm like, are you fucking serious? And then she like woke up. She's like, what? I'm like, you were just drinking completely horizontal, and it was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my
Man,
life.
you know, something tells me she's a nose breather because you can't drink water that way if you're breathing out of your mouth.
That's true.
That's too many things.
That is
going
true,
down the
dude.
pipe.
The Hill Doggus.
Wow.
Dude, so her sister had her engagement party last
Mm-hmm.
weekend.
Right?
Yeah, I had something sort of shameful happen.
Wait a second. Hold on. Pause for 1 second.
Mhm.
So they got engaged,
They got engaged.
which was a major piece.
I know. It
That
was a big
needed to
piece.
fall
It's a big piece of the puzzle.
on your
I
timeline,
know.
buddy. Oh boy. No wonder you're going for seconds on that chocolate. Uh-oh. What's happening here?
Engagement has occurred. The wedding is planned for fairly soon. So we'll see, dude.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
steps are happening.
Ooh. Woo-wee.
So anyway, it was
I
fun.
like where this is going, huh?
The party was fun, and I had like sometimes like the moments with family where like people become comfortable and act like it can be uncomfortable for me. So I have two examples. One time, Hillary's middle sister, we were at another wedding in Virginia, and we were all taking shots, and I guess we didn't wait for her to take a shot. And I sort of bore the brunt of her frustration. She's like, you guys weren't going to wait for me. And she was like serious. And it was like the first time, it was like our first scuffle. And it was like very intense feeling for me. I was like scarred by that.
Wow. Because she was mad at you.
Because she got mad at me in the moment.
But she was mad at the group.
She probably doesn't even remember this.
Did you speak back to her?
No, I was just shook. And then Hillary was like, what's the matter? What happened? And I was like, I like explained what happened. She's like, oh my God. She's like, are you like mad? I was like, no. I was like, I'm sad. And then the joke became that I was sad at her. Which she doesn't even know, but she doesn't even know about this. Hopefully she'll listen to the bottom here. So another thing like that happened, dude. So we were taking a bunch of pictures, and like a couple of the pictures I was being kind of silly. Like I mean mugged in one of them. But the one I was mean mugged in, it was like me, and I actually have the picture. I'll show you. It was like me, the bride and husband to be, and I think one other person. But another time it was me with like some of the men in the family. And
cool.
And I don't know why. We were taking a series of photos. So I was like, it's fine. And it was like me, her dad, her uncle, a couple other guys, I don't know. And at one point I thought it would be funny to kind of look off into the distance and do the when they do a profile of a man and he's looking off into the distance.
Yeah,
and you don't know what he's looking at, but he's looking at something. So I decided to do that. And her aunt just goes, Julio. And I was like, I was just stunned, dude. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Like, I was super fucking stressed out about that for like 24 hours, even though it meant literally nothing.
How early was this in your relationship?
With her aunt?
No, just yours and Hillary's.
This happened this weekend, bro.
Oh.
This happened at the engagement party.
Oh. So you still get shook over stuff with her family? Which isn't
Definitely.
to say, of course. I mean, that
is me being hypersensitive. The fact that affected me is me being hypersensitive. I'm still trying to find this mean mugging photo to give you an example of what I was on.
I get it. Oh my God. This was this weekend?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good look.
That picture was fine. No one said anything about that. But me looking off into the distance, I'm glad that they nipped it in the bud because I can't believe this even made it into the album. I'm like, why did you put the silly picture in the album? Like, that's what I get. So then I started to feel guilty. I didn't want them to think that I was like being disrespectful or something. But that was it.
Huh.
And then, I felt for like 24 hours, I was like stressed out about it. So I don't know, dude, whatever. That's not, the mean mugging picture is just kind of an example of things to come, but whatever. All in all, it was fun.
Well, that's cool. So, did you get them a gift?
No. Were you supposed to?
I don't know.
Hillary is so on top of all that kind of stuff that
Yeah.
like I just do whatever she says.
Yeah, I think that's right. And
If and when we do whatever, she'll be the one who knows.
does she get gifts for people and sign them from both of you?
It depends, but I'm never in the dark about it. Like she'll be like, should we get them this? And I'll be like, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then it actually is from us.
This was great. It was Mother's Day and Sierra was really on top of sending flowers to my mom from us.
That's very good.
Which is to have someone facilitating those kinds of things
Huge.
is really helpful.
Huge.
And wonderful.
So you sent them?
Yeah, well, she did. And then my mom called and thanked us and I took all the credit. I said, well, we thought you deserved it, Mom.
So it's funny that something like that happened yesterday. Dude, this is how nice this is. This is all Hillary's doing. Which, by the way, my parents are in Italy, and Hillary was like, "Are you sending your mom flowers?" I was like, "She's in Italy." She goes, "Yeah, but like, why don't you just call the hotel and have them send something?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, that's like above my pay grade." I was like, I can't handle that.
That's above my pay grade.
then I felt bad. So I was like looking at the website, trying to find reasons why that was a justified response. I was like, the hotel's not that nice. Like, I don't even think they could even send. She's like, honey, it's fine.
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay.
Wait, so she took it over?
No, we didn't do it.
We just didn't do
it. Was too late, dude. It was
yeah.
the night before. I could have probably, but whatever. I'm a shitty son.
No. You know, I don't know what, when I become a parent and my kids grow up, what will I expect from them? You know?
Mm-hmm.
I think I will definitely endeavor to not meddle in their lives. You know, you never want to, I think you get to a point where kids need supervision and they need advice for years until all of a sudden they're adults, and then it becomes less and less your job to stay on top of them and micromanage their lives, right? And there, you definitely get to an age where I mean, at least I've sensed this from my parents. Like my parents, I think I told you this. I was on the phone with my parents. They were in a car driving and we're talking, and the conversation's not really about much. We don't have a whole, like, we were just checking in. And after my mom's talking and I'm sort of talking, and I overhear my dad whisper, because they're on speakerphone.
Classic. My dad does that too.
He goes, "Let him go."
Yeah.
Let him go. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
No, don't let me go. Because there's the metaphorical sense there too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want them to let me go.
Yeah.
Nor do I
cling to me.
Yeah, nor do I want them to be the ones calling the shots as to whether or not I have hit my threshold of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that saddened me that they felt the need to end the call because they thought I was just being too nice and couldn't do it myself.
Right. No, but that same thing happens to me, but the opposite version of it. I'll be talking to my parents and I'll say something, and my dad will talk to my mom in a slightly lower tone in Italian, which is just clearly him talking shit about me. I'm like, dude, are you fucking serious? I'm like, I can hear you.
But that's cool that your parents do slide into Italian, though.
I know, but it's still like in that context, it's like, I know he's like being a dick, and I know what if I can't make out what he's saying, it's because of the volume. If I hear what he's saying, I know what he's saying. And I'm like, dude, are you serious? Mr. fucking Captain Obvious over here. But no, they do that too. Like, and I feel guilty. I want to set an expectation with my kids that they need to like not be pieces of shit. If you just expect nothing out of them, they'll become pieces of shit. I worry.
I don't know, man. I've started to think parenting is harder than I had thought.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's so easy to say, well, my kids won't be pieces of shit because I'll discipline them. And it's like, well, what happens if you're born with a kid who is destined for terrorism? And
There's nothing you can do. Yeah.
What can you do?
You just get a bad apple.
You got a bad kid. The stork that dropped your kid off was delivering the kid from, friggin' Satanville. He was brewed in
Satanica,
a laboratory adorned with hacksaws and pieces of wood with nails in them. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. But can I, as far as taking the credit for something, can I go back to this?
You may.
If you'll humor me.
Yeah.
So I took the credit. I didn't mean to take the credit for this, but it ended up happening. I went into the juice press near my apartment.
Juice press.
It's one in the Empire State Building.
Wow.
And the guy who works there has got to be the greatest employee of a place like that I've ever encountered. Almost always, he's the only guy there. He is just in the best mood. He is so helpful. He knows how to do everything. There's like it's pretty easy to fuck those kind of items up where you'll go to a place like that. And if you get the same thing 10 times, a handful of times, it won't be as good as it is the other handful. When you get it from this guy, it's going to be the best it's ever been, no matter what.
Wow.
This guy is the greatest employee. Dude, I've emailed the company before telling them how good of an employee this guy is.
Wow.
I've been like, I just want you guys to know the guy at the Empire State Building Juice Press is the greatest employee in the history of the world. I've done that before. Okay. I go in yesterday and he seems like down. And he just seems like he's in a bad mood. And I was like, damn. I was like, I guess everybody has a bad day some days.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm sitting there eating an acai bowl. He walks up to the fridge. He's working on the inventory, whatever. And I'm like, what's up, man? Like, how you doing? I don't even think he maybe recognizes me, but I'm not sure. And he's like, oh, man. He's like, you just can't win sometimes. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you know, my wife is homesick and like, I'm the manager. Like, I need to be here. And like, I wanted to be there with her too, but like, I just couldn't. And like, I'm just not having a good day. And I was like, wow, man, I'm really sorry. And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, and then he goes, I'm at the register. He goes, you want a glow? A glow is one of the drinks. I was like, yeah, sure. He just gives it to me. I was like, oh, that's really nice. I have my glow. I meet up with Hillary on the street. She just got out of an allergist appointment. And I told her, and she was like, should we get him a present? And I was like, oh, that's really nice. I guess. She's like, let's get him a present. Come on. I was like, okay. So now we go into CVS looking for a present, like to buy this guy. And we decide, we're like, oh, let's get him an Amazon gift card. Nothing big, like $30, whatever. Just like, okay. She splits it with me too. This is her idea and she paid for it. And we walk back in the store and we give the guy, and we're like, hey, dude, like, we know you're having a bad day, so we want to give you a little gift. And he was like, oh, man. And then he just gave me the biggest hug only. So this is all Hillary's doing. And like, and I got all the credit, which, you know, I mean, if there's no way for me to, in that moment, you just take the hug. You don't be like, well, actually, this was her idea, technically.
Yeah.
But, you know, but anyway, so hopefully that guy's brightened his day up a little bit. All Hill Dog's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, that's hilarious. But I don't know what's in the air, but I have been on the hunt for good deeds.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, dude, they are everywhere. There's a good deed on every corner.
What'd you do?
To be done.
What'd you do?
Well, I told you did I tell you about the guy I bought the soup for?
No.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. We'll start there. We were in Soho, going to look for a potential suit for me to wear to our wedding, which,
Sick.
by the way, how much am I allowed to choose what I get to wear to our wedding versus how much is Sierra? Because according to her, she's got a lot of say.
I would say, damn, it just depends. Like in my relationship, I would say it's 70-30 Hillary. But I
what
also
you wear to your wedding?
But the reason why she gets that much is because I don't know or care, and if she does it, I have to do less. So I only can object if I really hate it. You seem like you care a little more. So in your situation, I would say 55-45 you.
Wow, that's a big swing. I guess all right. So we got into. We've been arguing in a fun way. It's become fun. She's gotten better at it. She used to be so non-confrontational that anytime I started trying to argue with her, she would basically throw up her hands and be like, "Why are you talking to me that way?" You know? And instantly I had to like back off.
Oh, wow. What a fucking move.
But now she's gotten a little, she's been around me so much. Dude, not only has she been around me so much, she's actually started like telling jokes where she'll like carry out a bit.
What do you mean?
We were in the kitchen last night. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but it was like one of those things where like she said a joke, I started laughing. I was like, "That's really funny," and then I like tagged it.
Oh, nice.
And then she came back and like tagged it out.
Oh, damn.
And was like, "You start doing this, you're in there, you're like this, blah blah blah." And
before you know it,
it's a totally imaginary like train of thought, you know.
That's fun.
And I'm like,
It's
what are you fucking becoming a comedian? Like, you know, if you step on stage, it's over. We are not a couple where you become a comedian because you've seen me do it and you want to do it. I'm sorry. It's just, I won't step foot in the software sales arena. You stay out of my space. That's the way it is. Separation of realms.
Church and state.
Yeah. But it is cool to see like she's certainly starting to understand like joke structure and all of that. And I think fundamentally it's just gotten a lot funnier, which is great. I find her genuinely funny now. Which isn't to say I didn't before, but like I'm not laughing to fill space at all. I laugh genuinely at everything she's at the funny stuff she says. But we were sort of having a almost like a comedian's banter argument about what I got to wear to the wedding. And she knows that I want to be able to choose. And I wanted to wear a dark green suit because it's Maine and it's the woods. And she said, you're going to blend in with all the green around us. And I said, great. I think it'd be a really cool look if, you know, you couldn't see my body and you just saw a floating orange head next to this woman in white. And I said, what's more, why wouldn't you want me to blend in? You're the one that we're all supposed to be looking at in your white dress, yada, yada. And she goes, I don't think, you know, the argument escalates. And she goes, it doesn't fit the aesthetic. And I go, aesthetic.
Oh, no.
And I like corrected her on the hard TH of aesthetic, which by the way is not an easy word to say. She goes, I don't give a fuck how you say it. And it was funny, man. Like we were having a great.
So you were fucking around while fighting, essentially?
Kind of, where
it's hot, dude.
You know, it was cool. It's hot. It was cool where the argument ends in laughter.
Yeah.
And like almost like a you know, like kind of moment. But no harm, no foul. And I was like, you're getting the hang of this. This is good. This is really good for us because this is how I like to argue.
Yeah.
I like arguments that end in laughter.
It's fun.
So back to Soho. We're looking for a dark green suit. And we're walking, I mean, we were on, I don't know, Grand Street or something like that. And a homeless guy was just asking people, you know, can you get me a soup? And he was like pointing to the deli where he wanted to just like go in and pick out some soup. He wasn't even asking for money. And I was like, I walked by and then I was like, you know, why the fuck can't I get that guy soup? And I said to Sierra, I was like, I'm gonna get that guy some soup. I walked back and I was like, let's go get some soup. And he goes, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We go in and they have a soup station with about 8 different soups.
What, is this like the best deli on earth?
It was a pretty fancy deli.
Sick.
Yeah. And I go, all right, what kind do you want? And he goes, oh, just some broccoli and cheddar. Broccoli and cheddar. And I was like,
Good choice.
Good choice. Yeah. Good choice. Yeah. And so I pick up one of the big containers, you know, and I start ladling it in. And I mean, this stuff is hot. And so I'm like, ooh, I don't want to spill this on my hand, right? But I'm ladling, I'm going all the way to the top. And then I have a hard time putting the lid on, but I finally get it down. And now I can't find him. I don't know where he's gone. But I'm like, hey, hello, guy. I got your broccoli and cheddar soup. All right, you know what? Let's just meet at the register. And I go to the register, and then I see him, and I put the soup on the register, and it's like $13, which is for soup. You know,
a lot of soup.
Jesus Christ. All right, whatever. In for a penny, out for a pound. In for a pound, whatever the saying is. And then he goes, he turns to the woman ringing me up, and he goes, do you guys have any chicken? And I was like, I think we're good with soup. I said that. And he goes, all right. Like, you could tell he had, you know.
He's overstepping.
But then I was like, should I have gotten him chicken too? I mean, I purposefully got him an amount of soup that if you did drink it all, and I say drink because there's no solid in broccoli and cheddar soup. That shit was pureed. If you had it all, you'd be sick.
Yeah. So this should last him a couple meals.
I would, yeah. Now it might be cold, and that's unpleasant. But I don't know. Maybe he's got a way of heating it. So
he's gonna fucking dump a fucking fifth of vodka in it.
Yeah,
vodka cheddar, dude.
Yeah, but dude, the ultimate irony of this was him saying to the lady, like, "Do you guys have any chicken?" I was like, man, I kind of want some chicken. And
you're like, dude, good call.
That night, that night, I ordered chicken for us for dinner delivered. And I was like, thanks to that gentleman, Signor Broccolino and
Broccolini and Sons.
Cheddaro.
Dude, I think that by nixing, by telling the guy to fuck off when he asked for chicken, you're treating him like a real person. If you just let him do whatever, it's like patronizing. I think you handled it perfectly. You were generous with the portion. When he went for the chicken, you're like, all right, Buster, pump the brakes.
Yeah, but it's not like he was asking for, I don't know, something ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Dude, whatever. The guy needs to fuck off.
He wasn't like, can I have a bottle of olive oil? You know what I mean? Like, he wanted protein.
Dude, I will say
which
this.
Is what I can relate to that.
Sometimes when the people who are like trying to get some, like asking for stuff, 3 or 4 times that I've seen like Hillary, again, like doing nice things for these people, they're like so particular, where Hillary like offered this lady a bagel and she was like, what kind is it? And she's like, it's sesame. And she's like, oh, no. And she's like, do you have like something?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, dude, I don't. Like, are you serious?
Right.
Like this person was asking. She asked for it. She didn't just say, hey, would you like a bagel? She's like, can you get me something? Or that, yeah. Dude.
Yeah, and then they have very specific tastes. Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
yeah.
This person's not all
well,
there.
here's another one that'll rock your world. I was on the subway with Sierra. We had just gotten off. That's not true. I was on the subway with Luke Marcus, and we were...
Rangers game?
Yeah, we were going to the Ranger game. We were going to the game, and we were already late. And we got off the subway, and I walked up the stairs, and at the top of the stairs was a woman with a baby stroller. And she was waiting, kind of like trying to figure out how she was going to get this baby with the baby stroller down the stairs to the platform. And I turned to Luke, and I said, I got to do it. And I said, here, can I help you with that? She goes, oh, thank you so much. And then, by the way, typically when I've helped women carry baby strollers downstairs, I take the wheels or whatever, and they take the handles, and you do it together. But she just started walking down the stairs, leaving me with the baby. No, she carried the baby down, and I took the stroller.
Oh.
So
that's how that should go.
It probably is.
I was going to say, I want nothing, like people who ask me to help them with shit, like, I'm just too cynical. I'm like, this is going to end in me like somehow getting involved in a scam. Yeah, like
murdering the child.
Yeah.
But
You're a better
carrying a
man than
stroller alone is not easy. I mean, it's like, how would you think to carry a stroller?
Well, this stroller's sounding bigger than what I pictured. Like,
It's a big stroller.
I just pictured one of these ones. This is like a big one with the canopy.
4 wheels, canopy, handles. Yep. Probably a cup holder or 2.
Did you attempt to kind of fold it?
Maybe even a step on the back for a second child to ride, like some kind of
toys
X
are still
Games
in
prodigy.
there?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It sounds,
I turned it sort of diagonal and carried it by a front wheel and a back handle, and then had to not bump my legs as I was going down the stairs because that would have made me lose my balance. But dude, get this. I get to the bottom of the stairs. I set the thing down. She's standing there with her baby. She thanks me. And then she turns to her husband.
Wow.
And the two of them are like, okay, we'll get on the train now. I'm like, bro, you were down here the whole fucking time? Where was he?
That's fucked up. Was he like meeting her down there?
He had gone down.
Oh my God.
I don't know if it was to like catch her if she fell or what. Yeah. He did not help.
This is not a 3-man job.
And he was not American. They were like Eastern European or something.
Fucking Eastern
And I don't know if
European
that's like, I say that because I don't know if there's like some kind of cultural dynamic where, you don't carry your...
You don't carry your own
I don't know
stroller.
what that was, but the point is, I was like, what the fuck, man? That's not my job. That's your job. I didn't have her.
Fuck that shit, dude.
I didn't have the kid.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Dude, that's hilarious.
No good deed, man. No good deed goes unpunished.
Dude, I got to tell you what I'm scheming on right now. This is pretty funny.
You got scheme?
I'm scheming.
You cooking something up?
New Bad Bunny album.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. It's great.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Because the new Jack Harlow It's pretty good too.
It's been a big week of music for us.
Yeah.
Our favorite people are putting out just good stuff.
I like that song Poison by Jack Harlow with Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Dude,
check
every
that
time
out.
Lil
It's
Wayne
good.
features on a verse, it just reminds me of how fucking good he is.
He's a good feature. Some guys phone it in on their feature track. Lil Wayne's a good one.
Yeah, he tries.
But dude, yeah, Bad Bunny album, I'm really enjoying it. And I've been trying to because sometimes when you're listening to an album, it's hard to make it soak in right away. Because you're I'm just not, you need context. You need to listen to it a few times. You need to listen to it in the proper way. You can't be distracted, but it's okay to be distracted because eventually, whatever. If you give it enough, you'll get it.
Right.
But I'm I want to speed up this process. I think I'm going to rent a car so that I can listen to the Bad Bunny album.
Are you for real?
But I'm going to do other things. I'm not just going to drive around and listen to Bad Bunny. I think I'm going to do a little I'm having a national park craving.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about doing that in the near future.
What is the national park that is calling your name? What's the one you haven't been to that you should have been to?
I mean,
if there is one.
There's a lot. If there's one that's really calling my name, it's not going to be one I'm going to go to anytime soon, but it's the gates of the Arctic in Alaska. Only accessible by plane. Sounds super sick to me.
Wait, you're talking the top of Alaska?
It's not at the top of Alaska, but it's above where the Arctic Circle begins. It's definitely, I think it's northwest of Fairbanks. Can you check, Ryan?
And it's a national park.
National park.
And it's called the Gates
of the Arctic.
It's
sick. Dude.
That sounds like something out of Game of Thrones.
Doesn't that sound sick? Yeah, the North.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Dude, that one sounds really sick to me. Besides that, dude, I was carrying on about this yesterday, just about how fucking dope national parks are. Even if it's just something random that's not that exciting, like the house John F. Kennedy Jr. was born in. Just getting there, it's so fun to see the stuff around where you're going.
Mm.
So there's never been a letdown, and I'm a quarter of the way through them all.
That's cool, man. I wish I had such a noble quest and urge to see those types of important monuments and things, but frankly, I now try to play golf courses.
Mm-hmm. That's the same thing. It's the same, your version of my thing.
It is, but my version is not as good.
Why?
Because it's not enriching my experience.
Well,
it is, but only to me.
So, dude, yeah, but mine is only to me too. Mine, I'm not oh, this is great. This is educational. I don't give a fuck, dude. A lot of the time, I don't read the story. I'll go to some National Historic Battlefield. I don't fucking read the story. I don't give a shit.
So you're just checking boxes?
No,
That's
but
it?
no. But the fun part to me, granted, I'll read the placard, but I don't go on the wiki later. You know what I mean? And I'll be oh, maybe I should. But getting to these places is so interesting to me. And then once I'm there, seeing how beautifully curated it all is, or just depending on where and what it is, there's something really beautiful about every single one.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about doing a little local road trip.
Okay.
Next time I have a couple days where I don't have anything going on.
You could also just borrow our car if we don't need it.
No, I appreciate it, but no.
Why are you renting a car?
Because it's cheap and easy.
Uh-huh. Even cheaper and easier is borrowing our car.
I know, but you need your car. And then
not every day.
I know. But then if I'm oh, can I use your car for 2 days? You're sure. And then the next day you're oh, let's go to you know what, Julio, fucking
yeah.
I don't want to
he's checking out
go through any of that.
Dikembe Mutombo's basement.
Dude, I have a really good relationship with the Alamo people. Dikembe Mutombo's basement.
For whatever reason, it's a national historic site.
Where is he from in Africa again?
It said that the first block shot occurred.
Is he from the Congo?
I don't actually know the answer to that. That sounds right to me.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel bad if I'm wrong. Dikembe
Mutombo. Played for the Hawks. He was one of the defensive player of the year. He was very big on blocks. He was also in those Geico commercials. Oh, not today.
Yeah, his voice has become so deep. Dude, speaking of which, okay, I don't know if there's something about this that I'm missing. The character, have you ever seen Kill Bill?
No, not all the way through. I've seen pieces of it.
Okay, so Kill Bill, the guy, Congo, thank you, very good.
Nice.
The guy who plays Ishida in Tokyo Vice, the Oyabun,
Old man?
yes.
Yeah.
the way that guy sounds and the way that he looks, dude, it's identical. It is identical to the Yakuza boss in the animated part of Kill Bill.
Interesting.
Which I'm like, how is this possible? Unless there's just like a look that everybody has, and then you get, oh, you talking like this. Like deep. Am I gonna get in trouble for that?
No, that was actually, I don't know. I don't think, for some reason, I feel like it's less weirdly less frowned upon to imitate Japanese people than Chinese.
Dude, like whatever. He talks really deep and old is my point. That kind of blew me away a little bit. But dude, there's so much about that show that's interesting. Just like Japan is so interesting from a cultural perspective. And like, you know, there's so much stuff you know, but then there's so much shit you don't know. And like all these little like customary things that happen in that show are just like make Japan even more and more and more and more interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. I
Have you been
am.
to Japan?
No, and I would like to go.
We should do a show, or we should do some kind of run there.
Oh yeah, should we summon all of our fans in Japan?
No, but there's like, dude, there's got to be some way. There's got to be some like expat comedy tour thing.
I would think we could probably find a way
like a
to do
built-in
some
audience.
comedy in Japan. I mean, I did it in China.
That's so fun that you did that.
I would love to go to Japan, and I think our sig oths would also.
Oh my
dig.
god, dude, couples trip, bro.
Yeah.
Hill Dog high in her list.
Japan. Apparently, the food is incredible.
I'm sure.
It's incredible, allegedly, but it's also apparently very expensive. But I'd like to go. I'd like to do super touristy shit. I'd like to see the blossoming of the what is it? The magnolias, cherry blossoms.
Cherry blossoms, yeah.
But I
Kyoto.
also, dude, skiing over there is supposed to be super sick.
Dope, dude. Calm down.
But I don't think we'd want to go in winter. I think we'd experience more if we went during the springtime when the cherry blossoms, because then we can eat and hike and shit like that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm starting to have this thing happen where as I progress more in my efficiency traveling and like planning, I'm starting to get like overwhelmed by this feeling of needing to like be better and better and better at it. And I'm getting to a point where it's just not possible. And I'm starting to short circuit, and I need to maybe take medicine for this. But it's like this OCD thing that's kicking in where I'm like, oh, well, Japan, you're not gonna have enough time. People in Japan, for like, you know what I mean? I didn't used to be like that. And I'm starting to become like that, and I need to like stop.
Yeah, I worry about you in that. I worry about you in that when you sort of think about trips, there is such an urgency to it and a desire to pack it in, right? Instead of thinking, like, I would imagine, we mentioned Japan. I feel like your brain immediately starts going, well, if we go to Japan, then I can hit
Totally.
What's the Philippines, and I can also
Korea.
go to Singapore and Korea, and like maybe Vietnam if there's time. But then
Right.
probably shouldn't do Laos and Cambodia. That'll have to be a separate trip. When I'll have like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
bad. I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, not and like it's even that plus just even the place itself. I'm just like, oh, I want to do everything. So you will be like, you can't do everything.
Right, and she's right about
I know,
that.
I know.
Can't do everything.
Dude, I heard a crazy story from this guy who I know from this Facebook group I'm in. He got detained in Libya for 50 days.
What?
And he claims he was doing nothing out of the ordinary. Like he had gone to a part of the country that is unusual to go to. And I think he hired a guide, but he was alone. And when he flew back into Tripoli, got detained by the police, and they put him in a room, and they're like, listen, like, sorry, we're just going to like process this. You'll be out of here by this afternoon. And then they just like didn't come back for a long time. And then they came back a couple days later. They're like, hey, sorry. They were giving him meals the whole time. It was fine. But like, then a week would go by and he would see no one.
Jesus.
Can you imagine?
No,
And
I
then
can't.
like, dude, a month into it, they're like, are you a spy? And he's like, what? And they're like, yeah, like, isn't that, dude?
I mean, I don't
Nightmare.
have 50 days to spare.
I was saying that to him. I'm like, dude, that can like change the trajectory of your life. Your
From
wife can leave you in 50 days.
from today, 50 days from now, a lot of things with my life will be different.
Totally.
I'll have a different shirt on.
Dude, no, dude. Dude, it's true. Bro, I was thinking that too. Like, I'll come back from 50 days. Mike Cannon's going to be hosting Oops the Podcast.
I love
God.
Mike.
I'm like, God damn it. But yeah, bro, fucking
That's crazy.
Scary shit,
Dude,
right?
speaking of Mike, so Mike had done Laughs Seattle not long before I did it. And when I was there, it's a city where I feel like that's the comedy club.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyone who's in comedy like comes to hang out on the weekends.
Oh, cool.
And then there's a guy who is awesome dude, who Sarthik is his name. He's the man. Chris knows him. He's a videographer, producer. And he was gonna tape my sets for me, and he was so helpful and awesome. And so there's just like a kind of a collection of people who are related to that scene there. And there were a couple things that happened at the comedy club that were a little unusual. First of all, they were telling me that like who was going to open for me, and they started listing like a lot of people.
Oh, interesting. So there's a few people that go on.
And I was like, wait, they were like, all right, we're going to have this guy do a guest spot, and then this guy is going to be your host, this guy be your feature, then there's going to be another guy. And I was like, well, hang on a second, what? And they go, oh, well, this is how we do it. It's always a showcase style. And I was like, no, it's not. In comedy, showcase style is like what you typically see when you go to the Comedy Cellar or the Stand, where it's 6 to 7 comedians on a lineup, everyone doing the same amount of time, 12, 15 minutes, whatever. And you go from one comedian to the next, and then a host will come up in between and be like, all right, this next guy, blah, blah, blah. Versus a headlining club or a headlining show where you have, you'll have a feature, an opener, maybe a host and an opener, and then you have the person whose name is on the banner who you bought tickets to see, like, Theo Vaughn or, Chappelle, anyone, right? You've made a point. That's who you're seeing. You don't even know who's opening for them, but you're going to see that person, and that person's going to do an hour typically, or like 55 minutes, whatever. And so I was headlining Laughs Seattle, and all of a sudden there's all these people opening up for me, which means I'm not doing as much time.
Oh, interesting.
And
did you do less time?
Well, I had flown across the country as the billed headliner and had promoted the shows, and I had fans coming out and all of that. So I was like, wait a second, I'm sorry. Like, no, I'm happy to sort of promote local talent, and I like the idea of giving them reps and all of that, but like, I can't have 6 comedians go on before me. That's just not how I run my shows. They were like, oh, okay, all right. And they immediately changed it and just went back to like host, feature, and then me.
Mm-hmm.
But I reached out to Mike, and I was like, man, have you been to this place? And he was like, yeah. Are you wondering why they had like 48 comedians open for you? And I was like, yes. So it was kind of funny.
So was the expectation that you were going to do like a half an hour instead?
I don't even know. We didn't get that far, but that's where it was headed.
I've dealt with that before, and I wasn't as sort of like, I sort of just let it happen. But like, well, they'll have 6 people go on, and then you still do the same amount of time. And to me, like, even if the time of the show is the same, I think that by like transitioning through people, it's more tiring.
Tires people out.
It tires people out more quickly to see a bunch of people as opposed to like seeing 3 people, even if it's the same amount of time.
Yeah, I actually like just one person in front of me.
Interesting.
That's sort of the way I like it the most. Just pass the mic. But clubs seem to have their ways,
Yeah. Dude, why don't we do an email here?
Yeah, shoot me an email.
So we're going to do another quick disclaimer here. If you are listening to the show with mommy and daddy, now might be the time to go in another room because we're going to talk about something that he's going to be mad at you. You're going to get on his naughty list if you hear about Santa.
Are we talking about
Santa? So go in the back. And if you want to stay on Santa's good boy and good girl list, you're going to want to go to your room. And
yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, this is called Santa Lie Story. I really thought that this was good. I wanted to share it with you, Francis. I have a great story pertaining to Thursday's Santa theme. This is an old episode. We talked about Santa. When I was very young, maybe 5 or 6, my family and I went on a trip to Lapland, which is a mock Santa's village in Finland, where the entire town is in on the secret of Santa. That's insane.
What do you mean in on the secret of Santa?
So every single person in the town is like, it acts like Santa's real for the sake of this experience for these kids.
Oh my God. That
hilarious.
sounds amazing.
It's sick, right? So,
a Santa bubble
yes.
where the story of Santa is preserved at its utmost cost.
Where he's supposedly from, all this shit. So it sounds hilarious.
That is fucking awesome,
imagine?
dude.
We went for a few days. And
Wait, we got to go there instead of Japan.
we might have to go there.
Yeah.
Rough
Yeah,
up Santa, shake him down for some extra gifts.
Yeah.
We went for a few days and did various Christmas related things, sleigh ride, cutting down a Christmas tree, etc. It finished with me meeting the quote real Santa, who had his own wooden cabin complete with a fire and Mrs. Claus. I sat on his knee and told him exactly what I wanted for Christmas, a Hess 18-wheeler truck. Lo and behold, he pulled out a wrap box from behind his chair. I unwrapped it to find a Hess truck. He goes, because of this trip, I believed in Santa much, much longer than my peers. Probably until early middle school. I believed that I was in on this magical secret because I had met the real Santa. It wasn't until later that I found out that the whole thing was contrived and you fill out a form a month before the trip telling the people at Lapland what your kids want for Christmas.
Wow.
Right? I was devastated and felt like an idiot for believing for so long. But dude, that is so fucking funny.
That's cool, though. What a great story.
Yeah.
Oh, and it makes me sad at how far we are from Christmas.
I know, dude.
Ugh.
I want to do one more real quick because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think you can really help here.
Okay.
And it's a good discussion topic in general, but more specifically, I think Francis will be able to help. Francis and Jeeve, love the pod, is very much become one of the highlights of my week. Writing with a question for Francis as my 10-year college reunion is quickly approaching. Insert that I went to school in Boston. Cop out here to avoid dropping the H-bomb.
This person went to Harvard?
Yes.
Okay.
And though I'm excited to see all my friends, I'm definitely feeling insecure as I'll be showing up single and without having founded and sold a startup that changed the world in some way. While I've loved all the experiences that brought me to where I am today, I can't help but feel like I didn't live up to the Harvard standard and that I haven't done anything exceptional post-grad. And even worse, I'm laughably still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. It's hard out here. Any tips for navigating the inevitable comparison game and feeling less than?
Yeah, great question. So
This is okay. Let me say it quickly.
Yeah,
This is an important topic anyway. You know what I mean? I think
Right.
it's the most extreme in the Harvard scenario, just because such a high percentage of the alums go on to do such incredible things. So you probably feel it more acutely.
Right. I think that first of all, just because you went to Harvard doesn't mean that it doesn't mean you're more, I don't know, out to lunch because you still are open-minded about where your career might go. And yes, there are people at that 10-year reunion who are well on their way to the Forbes list or have done, world-changing things, I guess, or, are already building a career to become a senator, whatever the fuck it is. But, don't talk to those people. You can choose who you get to talk to. And your 10-year reunion, hopefully you'll have some old friends from school there and you can reconnect with them and sort of self-select, like bounce around as if it's a wedding. If I'm at the Harvard 10-year reunion and I start, stuck in a conversation with someone who works at a hedge fund and, is just making money and that's the point. And I have no problem. You don't owe these people anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You don't owe them a long conversation.
Also, who fucking cares?
Yeah,
what they
who
think
cares? Who cares
at
what
the
they
end of the
think?
day?
That's exactly
The
right.
comparison game is a losing battle.
Unless
for
you,
even the most successful people.
yeah, unless you're talking to someone and you want to sort of utilize them to help your career forward or possibly get an interview from them or have them connect you to someone, you're not, it's fine to just be like, I don't want to fucking talk to this person anymore and be like, oh, I got to run to the bathroom. Bye. Why don't people use I use the bathroom excuse all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go to the bathroom. I got to run to the bathroom. I was just running to the bathroom. You mind if we reconnect later? They know we're not going to reconnect. I'm out of there. so long. Sorry, you just didn't. You just sucked.
Yeah. And in order to kind of play the less than, greater than game, you have to participate.
Yeah.
So if you don't participate, there's no contest occurring.
Right.
So yeah.
And I'm also sure that this person who wrote in is probably selling themselves short and has a lot to offer and has done incredible things.
Totally.
But again,
that's why they're so great.
This isn't supposed to be like a career networking thing. Also, you could use that time, your 10-year reunion, to just like take a tour and walk down memory lane and go by your old dorm. And it's not just about who's got what now. A friend of mine,
Longfellow House, National Park site.
A very dear friend of mine has a great thing he's determined. You know this guy. He's hilarious. And he has we have a friend, another guy we know who is, one of the most sort of on track people that we know, and always was that way. Basically knew they were going to get into Harvard, and then knew from Harvard they were going to go into finance for 2 years, and then knew from that they would go to Harvard Business School for 2 years, and then knew from that they would, get married and then have kids. And it's like, he calls it that person's name, race to the grave. The Giulio Gallerati race to the grave, where you're not even thinking about, you're not even leaving yourself room to question your next move.
Yeah.
You are so set on running the race of life that you will die without even realizing what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that there's a sense of accomplishment at the end of that, because there's a lack of surprise, there's a lack of imagination, there's a lack of diverting off the course. And oh my God, remember that time I spent a year in, Turks and Caicos on a sailboat? Like, what, that was crazy. Or, I went to Thailand and taught English. Like, man, I never thought that would happen. What a formulative diversion that was. Those things don't happen to these people.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone who is still questioning what they want to do with their life 10 years out of college, I commend you. As long as you're not like, hemorrhaging debt and putting yourself really under, really fucking your life for long term. I think that's absolutely fine and commendable. Try to make enough money to pay rent and sock some away if you can, and just keep guessing and keep trying, and hopefully you find something that fits.
Totally.
All these people who seem to have figured it out, you'd be surprised at how many people haven't so much figured it out as have just refused to ask themselves harder questions. They have never allowed curiosity to enter their brain, and they've ignored those voices that said, what if I did this? Could I be happier? What if I tried that? And they just kept their blinders on and thought that there was a premium subscription to life, which if they followed these certain steps, they would not fail, and everyone else would think they had succeeded. And there's truth to that. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I can say that as someone who's 10 years out of Harvard, I thank God every day that my life didn't work out the way I thought it would. That I did have stumbles and missteps which sent me on different tracks, and allowed me to have to try to improvise in the kitchen a little bit, so that the meal that came out of the oven wasn't what I intended to cook originally, but my God, it's still delicious if you're willing to appreciate something that doesn't taste the way you thought it might.
Absolutely, dude.
All right, that's all I got on that. I'm a little preachy. I get a little preachy, but yeah.
But dude, good stuff. Good luck at the reunion. And yeah, that's it. Oops, the podcast. What do you got coming up? Boston tonight?
Boston, yes. Boston, Massachusetts. Home of Paul Revere, home of Harvard. I guess Harvard's technically Cambridge. Laugh Boston, three nights, Thursday to Saturday. I hope to see some of you there. Tickets are at francisellis.com. I'm very excited to be here. I fucking love this city. And it's going to be great shows, so come out.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff coming up in the summer and the fall. Dates will be locked in soon. I'll let you know. And thank you and goodbye.